Good morning, everybody. It's Hammer. Today is Wednesday, May 14th, 2025. I, of course, am Hammer with your daily mortgage rate update. The only place on the web where we get together every weekday morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, talk about what's going on in the markets, rates, pricing, headlines, all that good stuff. Today, there's not a lot going on today, but we're going to talk about what's coming out tomorrow. We're going to talk about which way rates are heading. We're also going to go over today. There's a little secret in the headlines I want to show you. So, yeah, stick around. I'm going to show you that. If you're here this morning, say good morning. If you're watching on the replay, don't forget, give me a hashtag replay in the comments. Let me know that you were here. Let Facebook, YouTube, all the rest know that you were here. Don't forget to smash that like button, tag an hello friend, share this post in a group. If you would like a quick text reminder that I'm going live, if you don't want to miss the show, go ahead and sign up at hmmr.io/reminder. You can also use this cool QR code over here. And it does not cost anything. I don't really use it for marketing yet. I don't know. Never have. I always think I'm going to, but I never do. And anyway, you can sign up at hmmr.io/reminder. If you're on your phone right now, take a screenshot, go back to your photos. You can use the QR code and sign up for that as well. If you're here this morning, say good morning. Let's say hi to all of our live friends. See who we've got here this morning. Good morning, Cindy Pulliam. First one to say good morning this morning. Good morning, Cindy. Hope you are doing well. Megan Lindbergh, great to see you. Nicole Semerad. Love that I see so many of you all on a regular basis. The reason I say your names is I want you to know. I know you're here. I appreciate you. Michael Love, good to see you, sir. Tim Kleilup, Mike Brown, Amy Blauser, Angela Walters, Nicole Semerad, Tom Dedmore, Randy Leonhardt. Giddy up, Mr. Randy Teakle. Chris Dickerson, thank you for tagging somebody. Yasmin Martin, good morning. Julia Lawrence, good morning. Ron Siegel said, today is National Buttermilk Biscuit Day. Now, I got to tell you, who all loves biscuits? We're going to make that the question of the day. How could you not have that be the question of the day? Question of the day, who all loves biscuits? Who all loves biscuits? What about biscuits? Hold on, I'm going to get this on here. Biscuits and gravy. So I will tell you, being a northerner, they don't know how to cook bagels down here. Just, they don't do it. However, the biscuits are to die for. And I do love me some biscuits and gravy, a good buttermilk, nice, a lot of sausage, buttermilk sausage, biscuit gravy. And yeah, listen, Root Canal Appreciation Day. I don't know. We'll stick with buttermilk biscuits for sure. Tomato gravy and buttermilk biscuits. Tomato gravy. Nah, I'm still going with sausage. Like a good sausage. Love shit on a shingle. What's shit on a shingle? Someone's got to clue me in. What is shit on a shingle? I don't know what that is. Someone's got to help me out on that. Good morning, Allison. But anyway, y'all, Ron says it's biscuits with butter or biscuits with sausage gravy. Yeah. Oh, no, well, that's his favorite. Biscuits with butter is okay. If I'm having butter, it's got to be a good whipped butter, but sausage gravy, love me some sausage gravy. It's terrible for you too, fattening and all the other stuff, but man, I love it. Deb Dickinson, good morning. So, all right, let's go ahead and get to the good stuff, y'all. Again, thank you for the happy days here. So, quick recap: what happened yesterday? Let me go ahead and show you the screens. We'll get a little bit deeper into this. So, if we take a look yesterday, and go ahead and refresh, or actually make this a little bit bigger. Probably going to have to refresh it. Yeah, I have to refresh it. So let's refresh it. And no, Megan, I have never heard of biscuits with chocolate gravy. Who has? Has anyone ever heard of biscuits with chocolate gravy? I've never heard of that. I don't think you're making it up, but I've never heard of it down here. Will Patterson, white gravy with chipped beef on a waffle. Yeah, there you go. On a waffle though, not a biscuit, huh? All right. Anyway, let's get back to the charts here. Sorry, y'all. I'm getting hungry now. Easily distracted, right? So let's do a quick recap. Take a look here. When we take a look here, we're looking at mortgage-backed securities. Remember, this is a line chart. When the line goes down, that's bad for your pricing. Now, yesterday at 8:30 a.m. recap, we did have the CPI inflation data. And look at here. I mean, it's right here. You see it right here? There was like no movement at all with that data. And the data came in slightly better than expected. And yet still, look at over here, no movement at all over that CPI data. Now, as pricing went out, it started to sink. Look at this. And we started to lose ground. So we were up like 10, 15 basis points when we did the show yesterday. And it looked like we were going to see better pricing than the day before. Because if we do a 5-day, we were up on the day. See, right? Take a look here. This was yesterday. Oh, you can't see it because I got my big ass head in the way. Hold on a minute. Let me just go like this. There you go. All right. So each of these dotted lines represents a day. Everything to the right of this dotted line here, that's today. Everything to the right of this dotted line was yesterday. So you can see we had seen kind of a late day collapse here for mortgage-backed securities on Monday. Tuesday, though, we were improving. And then as pricing was coming out, we kind of lost ground. It did recover a bit. We see 10, 1020, 1030. There was a little bit of recovery here. So rate sheets weren't too terrible. For those that were pricing kind of at the better levels, though, as bonds dropped on the day, we saw reprices worse. Let me know in the comments, first of all, who all loves biscuits and biscuits with gravy, right? That's the question of the day. But the other thing is, who got reprices worse yesterday? So we sent out a text alert for reprices worse. Remember, if you're not signed up for our text alerts, they're $7 a month. www.ratetextalerts.com. And this cool QR code, you could take you there, ratetextalerts.com. And we did send out a warning that we were going to see reprices worse, that lenders were actually starting to reprice worse. And that was that. Now, let's go ahead and put this back to the two-day. So looking here at where we're at, yesterday we had a little bit of a recovery right at the end of the day, but that did not hold. This morning, we've seen mortgage-backed securities lose ground. The 10-year Treasury yield, 4.49. It's testing. Take a look here. The 10-year is right up here at 4.49. It is testing the worst level that we saw in April here. Remember the terrible sell-off that we saw with mortgage-backed securities. Make this a little smaller because it doesn't fit on the screen. It was that bad of a sell-off, right? All right, so remember here with the tariffs, and it was down, down, down. Mortgage bonds lost 200 basis points. Rate sheets jumped. We saw that inverse because yields are inverse to pricing. We saw that right here with the 10-year Treasury yield. See it up here? I'm trying to get I have to shake my mouse and get it to makes the arrow bigger. See right here? Okay, so we saw that. We're testing that again. Now, let's remember that in January, that is when we saw our worst pricing altogether. We went back and let's click these off. We did this yesterday. Let's go ahead and just put this on. We don't want January of 1980. Let's do more of. Here you go. So 4 to 25, you could see again, September, we knew that was our lowest rates, our best rates down here. But January, we were up in that 7.25 mark. That was the high line, right? The high tide line right about here. Now, we're not there yet. We're right around 6.9, 6 and 7/8, we'll call it, right? And we're probably going to push up to 7. But we could test this again if we don't get some help. And basically, that's kind of the ugly thing that's going on. So let me give you let's go through them all real quick. So a recap what happened yesterday. Mortgage bonds lost ground late in the day. There were a few reprices worse. Nicole Semerad got a reprice. Oh, biscuits and gravy is a yes. Y'all are talking. So Michael Love said quarter of a point in rate. Did you seriously get a quarter of a point in rate jump, Michael Love? Did anyone else see anything like that? That is a huge. There should not have been anywhere near that big of a jump. If you saw that, that's a crazy one. So, did anyone else get anything that big? Let me know in the comments. But anyway, yesterday mortgage bonds lost ground late in the day. There were a few reprices worse. The losses were recovered. No, that's not what happened. They weren't recovered. I must have forgot to change on. Rate sheets today are slipping. Yesterday, we saw bonds drift lower, some reprices worse, but not as many as I had expected. Today, bonds are down on the day. Together, that's going to make pricing worse. We're down about 20, 25 basis points on all from when pricing came out yesterday. reprice risk on the day today is moderate. Bonds could continue to drift lower because there's really nothing going on the economic calendar. Hold on, I'm trying to move this damn. Let me slide this over. I'm trying to move this window so that it lines up here. Let me adjust that. There you go. So taking a look, there's nothing on the economic calendar for today, but I told you there was something hidden in the headlines. Let's see if I can find it for you. It has to do with all of the talk over in the Middle East. So Trump is lifting, he says he's going to lift sanctions on Syria. He needs Congress's help to lift sanctions. Again, I know that some of you are big Trump supporters. I don't like how easily this guy seems to be able to affect things without going through the proper channels. What makes our country great are checks and balances. And I feel like there's not enough checks to the balances right now. I don't disagree with everything that he does. Don't get me wrong. I just don't like how he does it. Like the idea of lowering prescription drug costs. I'm not big on prescription drugs. I'm not going to lie, but I do know that we all get hosed on them. And in the US, but the fact that, how they can affect it, I don't know. Again, I don't want to get too far down the rabbit hole, but this is something you would think in theory could affect bonds, because if we see escalation to things, it's generally a flight to safety. If you see all of this is expected to help the U.S. economy, and helping the U.S. economy means you don't see better rates. As long as the economy is doing well, the labor market's doing well, we're not going to see rates move much lower from here. It's kind of the normal of where they're at. So this is kind of that hidden thing going on that we don't really talk about, but it will affect mortgage rates indirectly. And that's what we want to be taking a look for. Tomorrow, though, we've got a much bigger day. There's nothing on the economic calendar for today. Tomorrow, though, we've got retail sales. Let's see. Let's use Rate Alert because they've got a easy. Okay, yeah, I got it. Oh, that sucks. All right, hold on. Let me make this so that there you go. Okay, now you guys can see it, and I'll move it over so we get it. Hold on. There you go. Okay. So tomorrow we got. We've got the producer price index, which is wholesale inflation. Yesterday's CPI inflation, the consumer inflation, did not improve pricing at all. So I don't expect that we're going to see much of a reaction to wholesale inflation tomorrow, even if it does come in better than expected. We've got regular jobless claims, which are weekly. But unless they show some weakness in the labor market, you're not going to get a positive reaction to that. We've got manufacturing data coming in all over the place, retail sales, and later in the day, you got Powell talking. Now, retail sales will be a bigger one because if we see a drop in that, that'll help bonds to open the day a little bit. But I mean, overall, the outlook is that rates are slipping, my friends. There's no reason really to expect a turnaround. We're seeing rates slowly creep higher here. But they're still kind of in that same range. I mean, back at the end of April, we were right here at that same area. We're likely to visit that again. My advice when it comes down to locking, right now, I would be locking most loans. Anything closing near term, I'm definitely locking it because we're seeing a slipping. It's not. Look at this trend over here. You could see it. You could see it in the candlesticks. We had a little bit of a reprieve after the Fed meeting, which we had kind of held on to. And then after that, it was here. The CPI data, the fact that we did not see any kind of a hold. Yesterday, we were up 15 basis points. You can see that over here, right? Yesterday, we were up 15 basis points and we dropped an end of the day lower. There's nothing signaling. Now, for technicals, I was looking at 99.67. Which is right where we're at right now. We opened up below it, but we're right around that 98.67 mark again. I was looking for that to be a kind of a technical support level for mortgage-backed securities. If that breaks, we go all the way down to 98.22. That's the next level, and that's 40 basis points lower. That'll see rate sheets creep and get worse. Julie said, have you seen people interview people from the UK and the shock when they hear the cost of inhalers and insulin? No, not at all. I did not hear that, but I do know the US, again, they say that it's research and development and this and that, but they lobby. Part of the reason, like, again, there's talk. Joe Rogan talks a lot about it, that pharma advertises on these news channels and on TV, not so much because you'll go into your doctor and be like, "Hey, I want to be on Quadrasudra or Fedramine," but also because there's so much money. It's basically, by paying for advertising, they're paying off these news sources to not talk bad about them, because the editors and the powers that be are not going to allow. I don't want to get too far down the COVID path, but this is definitely something that we saw during COVID. Nobody has pulled back and talked the truth about the COVID vaccines. And, I don't even like calling them that because they're not vaccines, but the COVID shots, right? Nobody has really done any research. You don't see any exposés about people that have been injured by these. And there are, I think they say now, millions of people that have been injured by these, especially cardiovascular health, heart issues. I think personally, I think LeBron James's son, Bronny James, I think that his was because of it. So anyway, you don't see any of the negative press about any of this stuff. Like, where's all the bad things about Ozempic? Ozempic is a miracle drug, or any of the other ones, right? These whatever those things are called again. There must be miracle drugs. There's nothing bad that ever happens. Nobody has side effects. I mean, you don't hear, I don't see them in the Wall Street Journal. I don't read about them on Bloomberg. I don't see any of this stuff. I haven't seen it on USA Today. I don't read that rag much anymore, though. But where are all the negatives? Because they spend all that money on it. So, but anyway, there you go. Ron said we pay $2.78 in prescription drug cost for every dollar developed countries are paying. I'll bet you it's even more than that, dude. He can only affect the pricing the government pays for drugs, which leaves the door open then to, does that mean that pharma companies go after private insurers and private payers even more? So, Ron said, wait, things have been moving way too far to the EO side since President Obama schooled us on his phone and his pen. I don't know what the EO side, executive office side. Yeah, I mean, I do think that it's too much. So anyway, enough on that. Let's get back into the rate stuff. So bottom line, as you see it on the bottom of the screen, I would consider locking. So basically, here's the deal. If it's closing, today's May 14th. So if it's closing in May, there's really no opportunity to see any strong reversal from where we're at now. We could see some days that bring some better pricing, but I mean, you're talking a small difference, and right now the trend is worsening. We've seen it consistently worsening until we see a sign of it reversing. Whatever you pick up, you could lose between now and then, and it's kind of a break even. When you've got loans that are closing in 15 to 30 days, that's the beginning of June. I mean, right now we're 3 weeks out. That's 1, 2, 3 weeks before we see the BLS jobs data in June. If that were to come in weak, it could reignite some concern and maybe, give some more power to the idea that the Fed might cut rates 3 times. But is it going to be enough to help rates improve? Probably not. So again, if you're if you need to float them, it's not that we're going to see rates jump up tomorrow, but it's death by 1,000 cuts right now. It's a slow bleed. We're seeing that movement. Last but not least, loans that have 30 plus days, stuff that closes the end of June or later. Those they cost more. People get antsy. If they're risk averse, if they're happy, if they don't get dancing feet, I wouldn't be afraid to lock a loan that's closing at the end of June. If rates are better, they're going to be very minorly better. You're going to see some better pricing. We're really majoring in the minors on this one. You're not going to see much difference. What would we have to see rates drop? I mean, to see rates really come down an eighth, a quarter or more, we'd have to see some real clear signs of economic weakness. And although we know that people are struggling, the credit cards still work. And we're not seeing that in the data. So I just don't see that happening myself. So I think that we're in a lock bias at this point. and kind of hold on to there. Let me know what you guys think. Randy Teagle said he just locked 2. Thank you. Appreciate you, Randy. Hopefully they like them. They appreciate it too. I'm glad you have 2 loans to lock. Glad everybody is out there working. So remember, I'm going to be gone next week. Today's Wednesday. You got me for another couple of days. Mr. Ron Siegel has graciously accepted to my request for him to go ahead and to cover for me for the week, so y'all won't be without some place to come and chat. So he's going to be covering the lives. I have another loan officer, Jason Icavelli, who's going to be covering the written lock advice while I'm gone. And check him out. He's got a whole AI thing for writing a direct authority book for being a mortgage person. That stuff still works, y'all. Still works. So that'll be in the emails. Check that out and learn more about that. But if y'all have anything else to talk about, I'm still here. Let's take a look at your comments. Good morning, Debbie Richardson. Good morning, Mallory Fotiadis. You are late to the party, but that's okay. Yep, you guys will hold the fort down while I'm gone. You know, Ron, this thing, I have missed less than a handful of shows in, holy smokes, now we're going on like 11 years of lives. I've been doing these since 2014. And we just, we're consistent. Consistent is the key on social, y'all. Randy said, unless buyers want to float, if the numbers work for them, it's always okay to lock. Worst case, can switch if a renegotiation isn't enough. Yeah, as a broker, you do have that. Of course, you don't want to abuse it because your lenders, don't like that. They'll be judging your pull through rate. Will Patterson locked 3 out of 4 new ones on Monday. Wish the 4th had locked. Yeah, but they're creeping. The thing is that we can continue to get lower. Right now, we're seeing a little bit of recovery this morning, though. As I'm going to throw the screen back up for a second. We are seeing, hold off before you jump and lock anything. Cautiously flow for a little bit. Look at this. We're getting a little bit of recovery this morning. We were down quite a bit more. See where it goes. As pricing comes out, if that's going to help pricing this morning, this is going to help morning rate sheets to be at least a little bit better. But will we see enough improvement to float? No. Not in my eyes. And will we see enough improvement to see reprices better later this afternoon? I doubt it. But this will help morning rate sheets. The fact that we aren't at the bottom levels that we were at and that things are starting to recover, that'll help them a little bit. So it's always good to get that as well. So, all right, y'all, I'm going to wrap it up. Thanks again for joining me. Appreciate you all. And again, you'll have me tomorrow. We'll talk about, there's a lot of data that's going to come out tomorrow. So we'll talk about what that all looks like. I'll see you tomorrow.